Welcome everybody to Blerdlines. This is your man Cam. With me, as always, is
a depressed Lakers fan. Lakers in 7.
as well as
Josh on the lamb from the man,
and as always, keeping us honest.
Yeah, it's the professor. You know, I'm not upset about the Lakers. I've kind of accepted things as far as it goes right now, but I can feel Cam's pain a little bit.
We're I actually watched that game. And we hopped on real quick. Last of Us season 2 has now gotten to the pivotal part of Last of Us 2, the video game. It's funny, I got Last of Us 2 with my PlayStation. So I didn't even really play Last of Us 1. So I had no idea what it was about. I just hopped in and I was like, oh, hey, this one dude, this guy must be the guy. All right, cool. And I'm playing and I'm like, wait, they just killed the best guy. Wait, what's going on? So I had to go back and read more lore to understand what the hell was going on so I could continue to play Last of Us 2. But anyways, Last of Us 2 dropped their second episode. And basically it was the part where, fan favorite, who's played by Pedro Pascal, gets killed by the daughter of the doctor who he basically killed to save his chick. And so a lot of people, much to the gaming fans' credit, that didn't spoil it for regular old TV fans that were just watching it, they were pretty like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah, I agree with that. Unlike some other fandoms, this one kept them pretty much silent on that twist. I wasn't seeing any kind of things or hints from people who, wait till tonight and all that kind of stuff. No, they were really, for the most part, at least most of the fans of the show that I've watched, that I know, and that have also played the game, have let it ride in both seasons. The twists for both seasons.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool because season 1, they did a really good job of keeping to basically the first part of the game, but then tweaking it just little pieces here and there, or expanding on it, which I thought was really cool. So bringing into season 2, the one thing that they did unfortunately bring is the main girl is still fucking annoying as shit, and it reminds me of when the game was released, which was from that era of Divergent, Hunger Games, and all these. The main teen antagonist was just freaking annoying and getting everybody else killed and just doing really dumb decisions. The game dropped around that same era, and in these 2 episodes, you see that same annoyanceness in this chick.
Yeah, the early episode. Oh, go ahead, go for it.
No, I was gonna say, going back to not spoiling it. If you're familiar with the game, the last episode of the season foreshadowed what was about to happen when he did kill the doctor, and the doctor was on the ground and they had the camera angle on. I was like, oh, okay, I see where. I know where they're going in the next season immediately, because that camera angle was on that doctor for an elongated period of time, and I was like, there's a reason for that. For those who are familiar with that little Easter egg, you would know. Even if you played the game, you'd be like, oh, okay, I know what's about to happen in the next season. That's going to be the theme. So, but that's what I wanted to touch base on from that one particular shot. For those who weren't aware, but like I said, if you did play attention to the game or played the game, that one pivotal moment is like the overall arching theme for going into the next season, and how those characters are going to interact with the death of Joel, which was one of the main characters in the first game or the first season 1. So.
Yeah, it's similar, and I said this to Josh, I think off camera, where it evokes the same feeling, not Red Wedding. I know people will quickly say Red Wedding, but I would draw closer to Ned Stark in that Ned Stark's death in that story changes everything. It changes the world. It changes things for his family. It changes the politics. It is consequential. And not only that, it changes the structure of the storytelling in general, because now you don't have his point of view. And similar in this, Joel was such a big part of that first season and the storytelling and the relationship that had been established between he and Ellie after he lost his own daughter and became sort of her surrogate adopted father, which they touch on a lot in the first episode, the problems that they've had, the time that they've moved forward, which I don't know if it'll be a good idea. We'll see how it works out with these big time jumps and then sort of retroactively showing us what happened. I mean, there's a lot to talk about Eugene and people like that, but we haven't seen these people before. And I know for many people who've played the game, those names ring bells and you know kind of where they're going with it. But it's just interesting the way that they've chosen to tell the story. But I think the second episode just had such scale and scope that, again, it evoked both the Ned Stark death, but also it evoked some of their sort of larger scaled battle sequences with the way the camera and the cinematography worked out when Abby is being chased by all the infected emerging from the ice. Really, really good. And you couldn't know where that was going from start to finish. And I appreciated that aspect of that balance between high octane action sequences and storytelling. Now, the ending with Abby's sort of wax poetic-ing villain speech was a little much. They didn't need her to talk that much. But
and actually, there was a reason for that. I think it's because they were basically trying to humanize her more, because in the game it was literally like, this dude killed my dad, boom, you're dead, and that was it, kind of a thing. And so I think they did some of the tweaks that they did for that to kind of make Abby go with Joel together in their little jaunts or whatever, and then her giving that speech was supposed to be, because to get backstory, when the game dropped and that happened, the fandom was split like as naturally, because whatever. But
from what I read, you don't know that that is the doctor's daughter until sometime later. She kills him first, and then you find out later after you've played from her point of view, which would be weird. And that's why player, I can understand that.
Exactly. So it was a very split fandom about the character and why he got killed and all that goodness and all that. And so I think the whole switch of it in the actual TV show was that let's humanize her a bit. Let's give her a whole monologue of why she's doing this. Blah 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 blah. So does it work either or? Maybe a little bit. I don't know. I'm kind of just whatever's on it. I mean, but overall, like out the gate, like. We're just good television, like we were talking about before. Just good narration, good world building. And I was actually impressed they actually did do this. I thought they would probably maybe start like a year before this or something like that, to have, you have a big star, you have a very, whatever, but then to stick true to how the game was. And with that time jump, it's like you said, bold, very bold, and they actually went through with it, which is dope. And so now we'll see where it goes. It's just, unfortunately, like Ellie just gets as annoying as she is now, probably even more.
It's probably easy. I imagine it being a little easy for Pedro, because he's involved with so many things. It's like, so my character's going to die at the beginning of season 2. Okay, cool. Because by that time, I'll be having to do publicity for the Fantastic Four.
Right. I mean, I thought it was a well-told story. I thought it was smart. I would have edited it a little bit differently. But overall, I thought it was a well-told story. I thought it was well done. I thought Joel's death had the impact that was intended. I agree with you guys when you saying Ellie's being way extra teenagery. As the father of a former teenager, I can tell you that they can be like that. I mean, not like that, but in that vein, she wasn't. I don't think she was any more outlandish than some teenage girls can be when they're upset at their male father figure or whatever. So. But overall, it was a solidly told story. And for me, it had the punch that it needed to have. Losing Joel, as someone who's completely unfamiliar with the video game, on all fronts. It came as a surprise. I didn't see it coming at all.
Here's the thing. I had a little thing with. So in the show, 5 years has passed. In the game, 2 years has passed. And we don't know in the show that Ellie goes back to the hospital and finds out the truth. You don't need to show that in the movie or in the show, because we can put two and two together. I think the biggest tell for me was in the last episode. Ellie opens up
together that Ellie went back to, and that's
we never know that. That. We just know in the first episode she's mad at him for whatever reason.
Yeah, I was gonna say they didn't make anything clear about.
They didn't make anything clear, so that's my
thing.
If
she's mad about that,
that's exactly what she's mad about. That's exactly what she's mad about, because in the last episode she asked him, basically, "Are you telling the truth about what happened at the Seattle spot?" She's opening up. She opened up before she even said that. She was like saying, "Hey, this is what happened with my best friend. I killed. Like I'm opening up to you. I need you to do the same to me, Joel." And he never did, and he broke that trust. So when she goes back in the game to go look at the hospital and find out the truth, she's like, "Oh, I thought we had a trust for each other. We've been through so much, and you still lying to me." And this is my opinion how I look at it. And so in 5 years past, they have this beef. Everybody like, we know y'all beefing, but what's going on? And it's the underlying message that Joel lied to her, saying that like he's looking at it like I saved you. But she's looking at it from like the perspective, like you lied to me, you still not true for me. We've been through everything, and I'm holding that against you.
I don't think that came out as clear as that, because I do think that with 5 years having passed, and what you're saying is true, and that would means that she would have had to have gone back to the hospital and found that out. So then you have to ask yourself, why 5 years for the narrative? That implies that, and they hinted at that maybe it was that, but then something else after that had happened. And that's my guess for what they were setting up, because it has something to do, I feel, with the Eugene guy. But I guess...
but the Eugene guy is a totally made-up character. He is just for the show. He was never in the game.
This narrative is for the show. That's what I'm talking about. The show's narrative, the
Eugene character is the motivation for Joel. Like that whole the psychiatrist or the psycho, whatever, she's opening up for the motivation of Joel to see that he has to do the same in truth-telling, because we don't get that in the game. We just get that for the motivation for Joel's character. That's right. Just like,
but Eugene is mentioned multiple times. He's not just mentioned in that one situation. He's mentioned once again in several other contexts, and at least two contexts involved Ellie and Joel. That's the only reason I said that, is because they kept bringing it up, and they talked about what he did to Eugene, but clearly he did something, but was still accepted into. That's all I'm saying. That
my guess is he turned into a zombie and he had to off. That's because they were like, I get why you did it, but I'm still mad at you. You know
I mean, they could have framed that up differently, though. Like they could have framed that up differently, or repositioned things in a way that ends up being a little more clear. Because none of what you guys are talking about was clear to me, and I didn't double back. And usually what I do is like,
that's my point.
I double back and watch the last episode just to sort of have it fresh, and I didn't get a chance to do that before I watched the season premiere and the two episodes. And none of this was clear to me. So I was kind of hanging back just to see if you guys had some insights. And of course you do. But yeah, I would have framed that up differently. I would have moved some scenes around to make that a little bit more apparent.
And that was my point, that it wasn't clear. Like, unless you played the game, you would know that. But I actually went and watched the last season or last episode of the first season just to refresh my head. And that one moment at the end, before it cuts to black, explains to me everything I needed to know between the unspoken, what's not spoken between the dynamic between Joel and Ellie. If you didn't watch that, or you didn't play the game, you wouldn't keep it. You wouldn't get that.
see, the only problem with me accepting that is why we saw all of that drama teed up is the 5-year gap.
Mhm.
Now, with this type of storytelling, you don't push 5 years forward and have that little thing be still the thing that's causing this active tension. So that's the only reason I assume maybe there's something else. I agree. You're right. At the end, she does ask Joe, and that clearly is one of the reasons why they have so much tension. But I feel like there's got to be something else. I mean, 5 years, you're still holding on to that actively. This don't seem like that type of narrative. So that's why I think something else is going on there. But that is the start of it. The seed crystal, if you will, is the Seattle exchange.
Yeah, and I think that's where we'll leave it. We'll be watching and we'll do a full recap. But those 2 episodes were something that, so since they're so close to the game, and I know there's some differentiation, I definitely wanted to hop on and talk. But once again, this is Blerdlines. Thanks for listening. We out.
Peace.